Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining the Office Leadership Series. In today's session, we'll be discussing the shifting workplace preferences and its impact on the future of work with our esteemed panelists. Since last year, there has been a gradual shift in the way we work, with remote working and flexible work hours becoming part of the emerging work culture. It is no surprise that going ahead, organizations need to redesign their strategies and adapt to the ever changing and dynamic workplace. The future of work is very likely to bring about a culture driven by flexibility and adaptability. Hence, businesses will have to navigate carefully through such times for a long term sustainability. Today's webinar will be moderated by Amit Ramani, founder and CEO of Awfis. I would now like to introduce our panelists for the session. Let me first welcome Narayanan Durai Swami, Senior Vice President, IT and Operations, Zorient Solutions. He currently manages and leads operations across major cities in India and is also responsible for building and sustaining global systems for Zorient. Having worked with several esteemed organizations, Narayanan comes with vast experience in project management, program management, product development, as well as recruiting and resource management. A warm welcome to you, Narayanan. It is great to have you today with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Sumit.
The next speaker for our session is Abhishek Bhate, who is currently the Managing Director and CEO at Wurth IT India, responsible for providing strategic guidance and direction to the executive team for the overall growth of the company. With 20 plus years of experience, he comes with a track record of ensuring customer success and leading effective teams. Abhishek also has diverse experience across global organizations like Accenture, Deloitte, and Virtusa, and extensive experience in the manufacturing and insurance sector as well. Welcome, Abhishek. We are very excited to hear your thoughts on the topic.
Very excited to be here, Sumit. Thanks a lot.
Moving on to our next panelist, we have with us Saurabh Sehgal, Head Administration and Facilities, Navi FinServe. A startup enthusiast, he has 21 years of experience in corporate real estate acquisition, project management, facilities management, and general administration. Additionally, he comes with vast experience in diversified sectors like BFSI, e-commerce, and logistics. Saurabh also is very resourceful at developing SOPs, service standards, and operational policies, along with planning and implementation of effective control measures. Welcome, Saurabh. It is great to have you on the panel today.
Thanks,
And last,
welcome to all.
but not the least, right. And last but not the least, we have Guru Prakash Sastry, who is currently working as Regional Head Infrastructure at Infosys, where he heads the design for new projects and is also responsible for driving sustainability initiatives across Infosys campuses. A green building professional with over 16 years of experience, Guru Prakash has been instrumental in implementing several innovative technologies in buildings in the areas of building design, energy, water, and waste management at Infosys. Welcome, Guru Prakash. Looking forward to hearing your insights and thoughts.
Thank you.
Over to you, Amit.
Thank you, Sumit, for the introductions. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm delighted to be moderating a panel of esteemed leaders and senior professionals. A month can be a lifetime, as we've all seen in the last 30 days, from extreme optimism to dealing with the current challenges. 2021 has been an exceptionally uncertain year with the second wave of the pandemic looming over us. It is an understatement to say that businesses across the board are experiencing a slowdown when things were just starting to look up. Organizations across the globe are experiencing a profound workplace transformation. Companies have organized the importance of agility, adaptability, and flexibility, the key factors that have enabled businesses to sustain during this period. The implication of COVID-19 has been huge, and the path to business recovery is constantly evolving. Through this session, we will try to bring different perspectives and discuss the ways in which organizations can navigate the issues concerning the new workplace that focuses more on workforce, well-being, and flexibility in ever-evolving times. So let me start with the discussion today. The first area that we wanted to cover was with the second wave of the pandemic. What have occupiers done to evolve their workplace strategies, and which models have evolved which are now viable? The change in office landscape, obviously clearly the pros and cons of remote working, businesses moving away from single headquarters, all these aspects are considered by occupiers as our ways of working, and workspace continues to rapidly during this pandemic evolve. Looking ahead, the occupiers are planning a workplace that can support rapid recovery and agility for businesses. This, of course, comes with its own set of challenges. and empathizing the need for a new workplace and emphasizing the need for a new workplace strategy. Let me start with you, Narayan. You've obviously worked with a lot of different organizations in your past roles, and you currently are managing a huge infrastructure at Zorient. So how have you seen different organizations revamping their workplace strategies to embrace this new normal?
Thank you, Amit. So I think the first thing is today is to see how an employee sees their workspace, right? And right now, from discussions with colleagues, with friends, people in other companies, etc., what it looks like is people have become very comfortable staying and working from home in the last year or a little bit more than a year now. And so the way they see the office space, right, is somewhere where they need to go only when they need to physically collaborate with others and not like a daily, place that they would end up going to, right? And that has drastically changed. Now, what this means is then we look at it and say, does everybody need a desk, a dedicated desk? Can it be flexible operations? Do we need in larger cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, etc.? Are they all going to commute to one location? All these things are things that are coming up continuously. Employees' interests have been, some still want to work, work from home permanently. Some are saying we'd like to come to the office a few days a week. Some say we'd like to come for large meetings, stuff like that. So all that is kind of going around, and we all thought that we've kind of overcome this pandemic situation, and we are back in it, very deep into it right now. Things are changing; they're quite volatile. But from our perspective, we definitely will rethink how we set up our offices or what changes we'll make. Maybe we will definitely not have dedicated seats for individuals anymore. That seems very obvious now. Maybe we'll move more into meeting rooms and conference rooms and those that support that more than individual desks. So this is the way I think the workspaces will evolve as we go forward. Amit, you're on mute.
Yeah, my apologies. So Abhishek, moving on, you've been obviously leading high performance teams across different organizations. You've understood how to convert business requirements into workplace strategy over the vast experience that you have. So going forward, will flexible, collaborative work environments, hybrid work models be the winning formula for organizations?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a blanket yes to your question, right? As it's very contextual to the organization and what stage of the maturity curve the organization is in. For example, we are a very young organization and we have a lot of startup DNA in our system, right? So we inherently need to meet our people and work with them to define our next steps, build our structures along the way. Hence, the hybrid model, so to say, has been not so easy for us to adapt. Yeah, I would be very honest with you on that because I'm per se a very individually, right? I'm a very office kind of a person. I love to go to office. I love to meet people. I love to work with them day in, day out. Naturally, the young ones in the organization have adopted the work from home very, very nicely. They love it and Narayan said, for the year and a half, everybody's adopted that very, very well, except I would say the management, which probably needs to meet much more often to be more effective, right? A very interesting response that we got from an employee when we surveyed them last year was, work is not where we go, but what we do. And they wanted to rationalize their need to be at home, right? We totally understand that people want to be home to be taking care of their loved ones while their loved ones are saying, please be close to us, right? And it's very, very understandable. So it really shouldn't matter where we are operating from. That's to be understood, but it can't be a single line statement that, let's everybody work from home. We've done that for the past year and a half. We've actually, being a very small and nimble organization, we were the first to call out early March that we should all go from work from home, even if that probably doesn't work. It worked. And we've been operating in the remote mode and the hybrid mode from this year on, start of this year. So we celebrated start of the year saying that everybody come back. It's time to be, together. We in fact had this Ghar Wapsi program, like we used to call it. And people came in very reluctantly. They enjoyed the gift hamper waiting for them. But then I think the inherent scare was still there, right? I would say the hybrid model itself is not a winning formula. It's a hygiene factor to have. We need to respect people's need to be safe today. And if a company is not doing it today, I think we lose out on some really good people, right? Because it's no longer an optional; it's a must to do. And if you're not doing it, you're definitely sticking out like a sore thumb. So the winning formula will for everyone would be our own flavor of how we would model this work from home and hybrid to enable our people to feel safe and secure when they need to, and also inspire them to come back to office when they are needed, right? The desire to come to work has to be inherent, because we've tried forcing it on them, obviously doesn't work. Yeah, there are reasons thrown left, right, center. This doesn't work, that doesn't work, I don't have a house, my parents don't feel comfortable. So I think we need to be very inclusive in our thinking that these are the real times, and this is the need of the hour, where the work from home and the work from anywhere concept, right? It's not just work from home, it's like the work from anywhere concept needs to be respected. So I would say the winning formula would be a model that we have to define for each organization. Every organization has to adopt it in its own way. Yeah.
That's great, Abhishek. I guess from ghar wapsi to wapas ghar se kaam for now.
Totally,
So,
totally.
so moving on to that, Saurabh, obviously you are part of administration facilities, and in the past you've had extensive experience with e-commerce and a lot of logistic companies. You're part of a young startup. Navi is obviously leading the charge in the BFSI area. So in your experience, how can workplace strategies be evolved to strike a balance between reducing cost, improving productivity, and enhancing the overall work experience for employees? Saurabh, you're on
Sorry.
mute.
Yeah, sorry.
No
So
problem.
at the outset, I would like to thank Samit and your team for organizing such a meaningful event. So you to start with, because I will not I would like to rephrase reducing cost to basically and optimizing the cost nowadays. Because reducing cost, when you talk about in terms of the facility infrastructure, that gives a negative impact to the internal customers. So what you need to do is you need to strike a balance between the expectations of the internal customers and optimizing the cost. So this is very important aspects. There are a few things where you can work it out while designing, work from home strategies, on whether you have a flexible working hours, you have rostering, you can, work on the uh, rental reductions. You can talk about reducing the utility bills. These are all back-end things which you can do it, which directly not impacting the internal consumer. They are happy to, if they wish to come to the office, they can come over to that place. So they don't have feel any pinch about it. However, as far as the infrastructure is concerned and improvising the productivity, the buzzword nowadays is the frugality. It's a frugal workplace environment. Being, simultaneously, you are going to be very economical, but you need to deliver good quality and sustainable workplace environment. That's very important nowadays. So this is my submission towards, improving, work on the reducing cost or productivity and enhanced, customer experience in that respect. So that is my submission to that.
Thank you, Saurabh. Guru Prakash, obviously you handle a completely different size of the workforce, right? I think yesterday when we were chatting, there's over 250,000 employees across the globe that you manage. Obviously, you worked on various environmental sustainability projects, efficiency of various organizations, leading green building initiatives. So with hybrid work models and work near home becoming the new normal, how do you think organizations which were prioritizing sustainability and efficiency, how would you do that when it comes to satellite offices and maybe in some cases offices that you might not even directly own or lease?
Yeah, Amit, sustainability should always be a priority, not only in this particular case. It's interesting. The crisis that we're facing today, the pandemic, was a very sudden, unexpected crisis, right? But there is another crisis which has been happening, which is increasing every year, and that's climate change. And with rising global temperatures, deteriorating air quality, contamination of all our water bodies, all these activities, related to climate change, they claim more lives every year compared to all infectious diseases globally. Okay, So that's something to really think about. That's something not recognized fully, and people don't realize. Okay, so um, it's very essential to give priority to sustainability, whatever the case may be. And today, I think we have a greater opportunity to relook at the way we do things, and maybe take a better path, whether it's in new infrastructure development or in our operations or anything. Now, this crisis can actually be an opportunity to implement initiatives like automation, and taking up some retrofit projects within the buildings, which otherwise would require a shutdown. Right, you wouldn't be able to do certain projects when the employees are occupying the building. So it's a perfect opportunity to put in a lot of controls and automation within the building to enable remote operations, to enable better employee comfort and experience, and so on. Um, it's it's also a very good opportunity to create awareness among all our employees. It can be through mailers, it can be through some panel discussions, expert talks, some videos. This can be disseminated to the employees to actually make them aware of what they need to do, how they can conserve resources while working from home. It's not that the environmental footprint of Infosys has come down because people are not in offices. Of course, our electricity consumption is about 60% of what it was last year, but people are still working on their computers. People are still working in their homes, so the water consumption is still there, because all our resource consumption is on domestic purposes, right? So that is all still happening. So how do you make the whole sustainability initiative more inclusive, to make employees participate in all these initiatives, and more importantly, employees and their families? It's the best opportunity for educating our families, our children, the next generation, to um, to adopt sustainable practices and imbibe in them a lot of these practices on how to save water, how to save electricity, and stuff like that. So I feel it's a great opportunity to make it more inclusive. And of course, coming to satellite offices, just as a case, what we have done is we are in the process of closing down a lot of leased spaces, because this hybrid model and work from home is here to stay for some more time, as other panelists have also mentioned through the surveys and so on. It's the same with Infosys as well. People are very hesitant to come to office, and of course, since this work from home is going on well, the results are showing up well so far. So I don't think there is much worry about getting people back to office immediately. So the leased offices we will be out of many of the leased offices, is what is the expectation. And of course, because of the second wave, whatever work was done to get the employees back, it's all back to square one, and we'll have to wait for a few more months for things to get better and get on with our work.
Well, that's great, Guru Prakash. I think some great insights from meeting rooms as being at the core of our business, to clearly management being more focused rather than the millennials who want to come back to work, and then frugality, as Saurabh mentioned, and sustainability clearly is something that's a driving force today. And I think great point, Guru Prakash, that how do you take sustainability now to an extended work environment, not just the campuses that one occupies. So moving on to the second section, and I think clearly there is a office shift from work-centric to worker-centric, right? This doesn't really matter where work is done as long as it's done. So clearly there's transformations that are happening that will drive some shift in the corporate real estate arena as a result of it. The workforce obviously is a crucial system underpinning an organization's ability to grow and thrive in during volatile times. They have continued to be resilient despite a lack of proper work structures. It is time for leaders to create an environment for employees to feel connected, recognized, and supported, and make them feel closer more than ever to the organizations that they are part of. Going forward, businesses with worker-centric workplace strategies, we firmly believe, with focus on flexibility, collaboration, human experience will be the winners in the post-pandemic era. So sort of starting with you, with an increased emphasis on employee satisfaction and workplace effectiveness, how can corporate real estate teams develop thoughtful and effective hybrid workplace strategies?
I think to begin with, it's important, basically the right selection of the office premises and the workspace management, basically the space requirement. What exactly you require a space. The companies are now embracing towards a flexible workplace where they are setting up the clear guidelines of what office required and office optional circumstances. So that's very important. As far as the productivity is concerned, we have observed in past and we are observing right now as well that employees who are working from home are become more productive as compared to working from office. So that's again a very important thing. In terms of the hot desking, again there is a minor correction required in terms of rather rotating employees, rotate teams. Basically, you can do a group of department or a particular department to do a rotational basis while working from home or working from office. So that's very important. And to enhance the productivity, the digital world has managed to help the employees to work in a better way, increase load sustainability as well. So these are the few factors which need to be considered before getting into the real estate acquisitions or anything. This is my point of view to my team members, that before going to the market, before going to the to our business partners, you should discuss with the business teams what exactly they require, how much space acquisition they need, can we optimize that, how can we tell them that technically you need such much more of space, not to that extent, where we can start really working right from inception on the optimizing the cost in terms of the not only the capex, also it will impact on the longer stages on the opex as well. So these are the few factors which need to be looked into.
No, Saurabh, I think good points, and I think recently I was talking to some international property consultant, and they told me that earlier businesses would predict how much space they needed, and they would always run out of space.
Yeah,
now, for sure, what's going to happen is they're never going to run out of space because they work from home as a strategy, right? So that clearly works, and that's exactly what you're saying. That predicting that real number will be important. So, Abhishek, moving on to you, how, in your opinion, can companies build and maintain a company culture in a more remote work environment so that facilitates both individual and organizations' long-term growth?
Very, very tough question. Yeah, I'm still struggling to figure out how do we do this, right? Don't claim to be an expert here, but I'll give it a shot. So to me, I would say the company culture has to be of three things, primarily tolerance, right? Tolerance towards the other guy completely. It doesn't matter if it's your employee, your team leader, your manager, your staff, definitely the HR teams and admins teams who are working around the clocks to make our lives so easy, right? Empowering the employee. Believe it or not, it's been my biggest challenge to believe that the man in the last mile is doing what he says for the 8 hours, correct? And having complete systemic control. What we miss is the wherewithal to say every employee wherever he is, every team member wherever he is empowered to do what he should be doing. So with these three things, I think that would define the new corporate culture should set out to be, right? And what can organizations do? And I again put this caveat out there in my humble opinion. I'm no way an expert at this. Well, we have to have our managers trained in how to think of remote working. For us, it's a brand new thing, right? Our managers were accustomed to having the team sit around them, along with them, dedicated areas. So it was easy for business to go along. I think they need to be trained in the empathy that they need to show, the control that they need to exert now, right? And the signs of fatigue that they need to watch out for, because I think we are going through a lot of screen fatigue. It doesn't matter. It's call after call after call. To me, it just seems like it's just another call. Believe me, hardly any productivity. I wouldn't disagree with Saurabh here, but I have my own opinions on whether my teams and our teams have in the IT industry at least have gotten more productive, or we're just putting in more hours. I think we are putting in more hours. That's why it seems more productive. But I think we are getting fatigued. And this doesn't seem to be a very long-term sustainable solution for me, right? 100% we need better collaboration tools. We go around Zoom and Skype for business and so on and so forth. And I don't think so. We have, at least us, we have our handle around the perfect environment to say, you know what, everybody is doing the right thing and using the right common set of tools. Well, we are a young organization. That's why I can make these claims, but I'm sure the big boys have it all sorted out. They have the perfect ecosystem to operate in such a way they would be, and these are learnings that we're trying to get to, right? My HR teams, my admin teams are working around the clock. We follow what the big boys are doing. So I'm sure the HR teams from Guru Prakash and everybody would be in touch with our teams. So we follow their lead of how they are trying to progress, how they're trying to address the situation. And we go through the same cycles of imbibing those cultures, right? Frequent ad hoc connects and check-ins with the teams are absolutely must for me. What we've realized is you let a team member be, and you let him or her work for 8 hours a day without checking on whether he or she is doing fine is a little. It's nice for a couple of days, but then I think you don't want them to be in a silo in an island, cranking away at a laptop. You really want that touch and feel, right? We'll have to create mission champions, and we set out doing our vision mission statement for 2025. We realized that if you're not together, telling my vision to you, it's just words, right? You will not feel it. You will not see my enthusiasm. You'll say, yeah, Abhishek, fair enough. I hear you, but I go back to my code, right? And for that, we need those mission champions, which are major portion of their job is to keep doing this day in, day out. So the savings that we will have in everything else that we are saving with, right? We need to implement that amount of money into more people, according to me, who now do the 8 hours of their job plus this. So I would rather say that we need people who do 4 hours of their regular job and 4 hours of keeping employees connected to the organization, right? And we are bound to have a lot of screen fatigue. And it's natural to zone out. So I would say, to me, work from home is not a permanent solution, right? It's a nice to have for the foreseeable future because we all need to feel safe. But we need to ensure timely connects with people, right? Last but not the least, what do employees need to do according to me? Well, we need to be absolutely more resilient. In the IT industry per se, I think we had the luxury of permanent work from home or whatever, but I keep telling my team members, look at other industries, right? Manufacturing, banking, they're all going to office. Yes, they are risking their own lives, truly so, but they are taking that risk. And that is a little bit of resilience that we also need to show. Otherwise, what are the use of all those beautiful, fancy offices that we have all around and nobody goes to them forever, right? So with that, I think the culture has to be inclusive. The culture has to be give and take. And we have to work on tolerance because if I don't understand what you are going through, right? You might not say it out to me because I don't see you, but I need to really, go through the barriers to really feel for what you might be going through and say, it's okay. It's okay. And if the work is not done today, it's really okay. It might just get done tomorrow. I think that's the culture we'll all need to get to.
Now, Vishek, some really good points on tolerance, empowerment, and systemic culture. And clearly, I think the Zooms of the world are great to get some output, but clearly to connect people and to collaborate truly as an organization, I think we need some, extensive additional tools. Maybe another Zoom kind of startup that will fix that problem. So moving on, Narayanan, with employee-centric workspaces becoming the norm, what necessary changes do you need to be adapted by organization to recognize the changing needs of its employees? Narayanan, you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah. So let's look at what's happened in the last year, right? Starting from let's say a recruiting drive. People used to show up in the office, and interviews used to happen in the office. That's gone, right? We do this on Zoom, and we do video calls for interviews. Employees used to come to the office to join. We don't do that anymore. It's all digital onboarding, right? So the recruiting team has changed how they work. The HR team has changed how they work. Now the managers, after onboarding, it's all going to be again Zoom and phone calls. They've changed how they work, right? So in a sense, everything that we've been doing for so many years has generally been pushed into becoming digital very, very, very quickly. I mean, most of us probably had like a max of 1 month before which everybody had to be working digitally. Even laptops are getting shipped. No more ID cards, right? Because nobody coming to the office. So the whole gamut of how we operate has changed. So employee-centric, absolutely. So it's all moved in various ways to make sure this person at home can interview, can join, can onboard, meet his managers, meet everybody in the organization, and work for this organization without ever seeing anybody or even seeing a facility. Now, what finally this comes to is then whenever we come to the offices, and hopefully that will be sometime this year, the way it looks like, sometime this year will be good. Now, getting back to offices, we've been looking at a variety of things, like again, things like Abhishek mentioned, Gurprakash, Saurabh mentioned, there is hygiene, there is safety. We had moved from this traditional, many of you know, we had this 5x4s, then 4x4s, then 5x2 and 4x2, and the desk space kind of becoming more linear. Now we're going back and saying, from a hygiene perspective, build the walls again, make sure they have cubicles, they have privacy, and all that stuff is going to come back and being important. Sanitization, all that is important. In the meeting rooms, the way the desks are organized, where the meeting rooms are organized, everything in terms of a workspace, right, has to provide enough to an employee to come to the office. I mean, I've been seeing some co-working spaces. The way the traditional office spaces were, right? We had like probably a small breakout area for people to have like chai, coffee, etc., and then they come back to the desk. That's where they work. But the way things are happening, I mean, I've been out a little bit traveling and stuff during December, Jan, Feb, and I noticed that people were working, though they didn't go to the office. The Starbucks and coffee days and all that were seem to be places that people were hanging out in and actually working. And this is true to the millennials and the people that Abhishek was talking about. They are there, they are meeting there, they're working, though they're not coming to the office, right? Maybe we need to move our office spaces, also create that kind of space for them where it's exciting, interesting for them to be able to go and say, I'm almost equivalent of a coffee shop is what my office is, and I've got spaces there that I could go to and work from there. So all these things are things that are going around, discussions, various meetings, HR teams, other companies, etc. So but we just really don't know yet. But I think we are headed in that direction in terms of how the workplace is going to be. I don't think it's any longer, again, as of today, be the traditional space, it is going to change to more collaborative spaces. That's what is going to be the norm, is my guess, if you ask me today.
Sure. Thanks, Narayan. So, clearly moving on, Guru Prakash, I think both Abhishek and Narayanan and many of us believe that, people will require offices, right? The shape and the way and how it's structured and how it's laid out might be different. The design might change, become more collaborative than heads down work kind of spaces and so on. But going ahead, what innovations and transformations can companies bring to encourage employees to return to offices?
So before that, to respond to Abhishek's comment that the big boys have figured out, I don't think we have figured out. Sorry. so, we haven't. In fact, we haven't implemented any big modifications in our workspaces across the 50 million square foot of space that we have. We haven't done any modifications specifically for COVID purpose. The partitions or bringing cabins and some things like that. No, we have not done that because we feel it will be more of a knee-jerk reaction, and and I do believe that it will be a matter of time. We are very optimistic that people would eventually come back to offices, and we are working on different type of interiors that can provide employees a very nice experience, so that they feel encouraged to come to office. Why would somebody come to office if he has to travel for 1 hour, 1.5 hour in the traffic? Eventually, when things open up, when things get better, so it has to be something really good in terms of experience, right? Very good connectivity, seamless connectivity, a very good comfort, very good experience. Don't have to bother about anything else. You just have to get to the office, plug in, and you can have your calls, reviews with the clients, whatever. So I think the need of the hour is to take care of employee health in the way to address some of the touch points where employees go through when they enter the campus, when they use the facilities, common facilities in the campus. For example, we disabled the biometric. We have a biometric system as well. We disabled the biometric and allowed only card swiping since March 2020. And we have sensor-based taps in all our restrooms, all food courts, everywhere. So nowhere employee has to touch the tap to switch on water and so on. The other thing is, of course, in the new designs that we are doing in a couple of buildings that are coming up, we are ensuring restrooms, for example, like airports, where you don't have a door. So just eliminating the points where a lot of people touch, right? That's where people get very hesitant. A lot of people are using these facilities. A lot of people are touching the same surface which I'm going to use. So that creates a fear factor in the occupants. So that's something that we want to address completely. And coming to innovation in terms of the systems that we have implemented, um, all the new buildings of Infosys since the last 3-4 years have been with radiant cooling systems. Okay, we don't have air recirculating in a space like the traditional air conditioning. So it's a once-through system. So the fresh air comes into the office space and it is exhausted completely. So there is no recirculation, which means in general, you are providing a much better air quality, and the transmission of any kind of infection is minimized. So that's something that we are definitely going to implement in most of the buildings so that employees know they are working in a healthy space. And in general, all the infections, all the diseases can be minimized in this kind of a space. And of course, I was talking about automation. That's something that we have really invested in over the last maybe 8 to 10 years, and we have put in a lot of controls where there is minimum interference of the operations personnel. You don't have to have the operator in the campus or in the building to actually run the system, whether it's lighting, air conditioning, reducing the temperature, increasing temperature. Any of the facilities members sitting anywhere in the world accessing the Infosys network can manage any building. Okay, so that's the kind of controls that we have enabled, and it's not a very what do you say, very sophisticated system, very difficult thing to do. It's a very doable thing, and I think building automation system is something that definitely people need to adopt. And thirdly, coming to the type of office spaces, we want to create vibrant offices. And of course, as others on the panel have mentioned, it has to be a team-based work rather than an individual work area. That's what we are focusing on. Instead of providing individual spaces, person sitting at one place and working, we are providing different types of spaces and less of individual space, which means the employees will have the liberty to sit anywhere in the office and work. Now with everybody moving on to laptops, and of course, the scale that we have, it took like 3-4 months for us to actually get desktops shipped to the employees' homes. Okay, because not all of them were working on laptops, and now there is a shift towards laptops because it's much easier to manage. And once employees come back to offices, it will be a truly agile kind of environment that we are planning for. And people will have different spaces to work in. People can sit in different places and work, collaborate seamlessly. The AV systems have to be really ramped up to cater to a seamless connectivity between locations, between employees, between clients. That's something that's very important. Gone are the days where we had these projectors and things like that. So now we have a lot of smart solutions replacing them, and that's the kind of experience that is going to bring the employees back to the offices, for having really nice, interesting collaboration with the team and the clients and so on, which cannot be possible at home. So that's the only way you're going to encourage people coming to offices. And of course, Abhishek, whatever you might say, even though people like you and me really like working in offices, but majority of the people, because the results are good. So in our case, I'll tell you, until July, August, September, there were mailers from all the leadership, business leaders within Infosys saying, we have done this in the offices, we have done this, we are ready to welcome people back to the offices. And after September, 2 quarter results we saw, and then all the mailers stopped. And people are very, very comfortable. Okay, results are fine, revenues are fine, profits are fine. You just let it go. We will not force anybody to come back to office. It is going to happen eventually. They have to come back on their own interest. That's the only way employees are coming back to office. We only have to provide a really nice atmosphere for them to, ensure that we provide something that they can't have the same experience at home. So that's the only way we are getting them back to office.
Guru Prakash, I think great points there. I think clearly there has to be a reason for somebody to commute those 2 hours and get out of the comfort of their home and come to a environment. As Narayanan mentioned, maybe a coffee shop. Clearly senior leadership wants to come back, but I think we'll see how it kind of all evolves as we go forward.
Your background is one of them, Amit.
Go ahead, please. Sorry.
Your background is just what people want.
Okay, sure. So that's a good segue, Narayanan, to a section which is very near and dear to my heart, and I know there are a lot of my flex operator colleagues that are in the participants here as well. So clearly, I think flex office operators sat on the sidelines. I think pre-COVID, primarily focusing on startup freelancers, SMEs, and right. So clearly in the post-COVID era, clearly there's been a much more adaptability. So, my next, focus was on, obviously COVID-19 has made organizations reevaluate their workplace strategies. As they grapple with obviously the demands of the new generation, workers move towards a strategy of more agile working. Most large and small businesses have noticed the merit in partnering with flex operators, and as they provide professional environments, convenient environments, flexibility, teams of all sizes, and more efficient way to move forward. So first question, Abhishek, to you. Do you think such a partnership will improve efficiency and productivity for the organization in the long run?
Sorry, I think I was on mute, right? I would say for sure. For the, like I said, not the big boys, the large ones, I would not comment on. But for an organization of our size, this would definitely make a lot of sense, right? Because I was going to comment earlier, the kind of things that we are trying to do for our own spaces that we are holding, you guys are already doing it, right? So do we have the need of reinventing the wheel all over again, right? So the way I say this, I would definitely be interested in having a flexible working app in my office tomorrow, where somebody would say, you know what, I'm coming in, I need a meeting room for 2 days, I need 6 spaces, and I need this area specifically. It would show in a minute what is available, and then you just block it, like the way you guys operate, right? So we are actually moving towards making our spaces work and function like your spaces. But I would go ahead and say this, that the CRE operators are already doing a fantastic job. So you guys have excelled at figuring out what the current tenants would need, right? The kind of measures you've implemented all across the properties that we occupy. Fantastic transformation. We have zero touch receptions, fantastic visitor management systems already in place, right? The facilities are already touch free, and social distancing can be maintained. Like it's like a new norm today. And I know of a lot of our partners who've already offered me packages that we can take in, and they would transform our current spaces to what they are at the minimal cost. That totally is wonderful. What is happening is we are not able to even think of this, because it is a cycle that we're going through. It's euphoria, and then suddenly, we need to change. Oh, fantastic, we are back again. Oh, you know what, I don't know what's going on. So we are not able to make our decisions of what we want to do. But it is true that a partner like yourself, for example, would be fantastic for us to go along with, because we don't, as definitely small players, we have not invested huge in property and large buildings. though our ambition is to grow and do that one day, but in reality, why should we even? Yeah, we might as well start working with large players like you. And what it enables for me to do is have a critical role in better geographical reach for talent. I want to employ people in Bangalore. I want to employ people in Chennai and even the north. But we are today a Pune only kind of a company, right? And when these people come and work for us, or in the interview with us today, they say, you know what, I'm definitely not coming to Pune. How can I work from home? So imagine the kind of things that we have to decide now, that I have to ship him a laptop. I have to make sure that he or she has an internet connection. Maybe a fantastic package from somebody like you say, you know what, we take care of everything. The guy is set. If he ever needs to go to an office, he goes to an office facility in Chennai, in Bangalore, or wherever he or she is. And it is a pay-per-use model that we have credits all across the country. And we just consume the credits as and when our people are moving around and utilizing those services. Would be very interesting for us to work, because these gig workers are everywhere. We are not hiring actively. Whatever we are trying to hire is not available because the big boys are lapping them up. And for us, we need to be as flexible as possible. We need to give them even one up than what the big ones are doing. So it's a challenge for me, and we are taking this head on by trying to be much nicer. It's not a coffee environment to me that will make somebody come back to office. It is what they want to do with the organization, right? Everybody is doing their job today. To me, it's a 9 to 6 job that everybody, including me, but we are not taking the company forward, because the real innovation and the growth will come when we collaborate and we work together, actually face to face. To me, it has to be face to face. So I would say you guys will play a big role no matter what in the coming future, right? It's a cyclical nature. Soon enough, we'll all have to adapt to this flexible work from home and hybrid models, and you will play a very, very big role, definitely.
Thank you, Abhishek. Music to my ears, as you can imagine. So, Guru Prakash, I think given obviously the drastic changes in the work styles since last year, you mentioned obviously Infosys occupies almost 50 million square feet, and you have made some effort to give up leases where possible, right? So what are the cost advantages of partnering with flex operators for companies like yourself and occupiers in the future?
Well, cost advantages with respect to flex offices, partnering with others. It's a bit of a thing we need to work out. I may not be 100% sure of that, but of course there is. See, for us, cost reduction has been mainly in our business travel, okay, and employee commute, and of course on the building operations. Um, we have presence in about 50 countries, and people traveling all over the space, all over the place. So there's huge amount of business travel that happens, and and the last 1 year there's been almost nothing. So there'll be a very big reduction on the business travel, and even in building operations, if you see, our annual electricity bill is about 200 crores typically, and this time our electricity consumption is about 40% less. So you can imagine that's a good reduction in the cost. But on the other side, you have to spend on enabling this work from home scenario, right? For 200,000, 250,000 employees. So we, as I said, we had to pack this laptops, desktops, everything, and send to people's homes, employees' homes, to different cities in remote places as well. So that took up a lot of time and effort, and of course a lot of investment. We ordered some 50, 60,000 laptops at once sometime in July. Then another huge consignment of laptops being ordered, so that everybody works seamlessly, and there is no hindrance to people working from home. And also the other big spend is on the cyber security, okay, and the network security part. Installing all the firewalls and enabling all the controls, so that there is no compromise or breach of data. There's no compromise on client data or any confidential data, and so on. So that, I think, is a very big investment, because we are also working on the zero trust networks and so on. A lot of our teams are working on. So far, yes, it's the operational cost advantage is always there, but it's it's a very peculiar situation, because one data breach, one security compromise with any of the client projects, then we're done. Okay, either everybody come back to office, or the project is gone, or the contract is terminated, or whatever. It will cost a huge amount. So it's all very speculative at this point of time. And of course, for us, I think in terms of partnering, coming back to your question again, partnering with the flex office spaces, it's it might work out very well in cities, a lot of cities that we do not operate as of now. We have presence in all the major metros, for example, and we have enough space where we would not want to rent out any external space anyway. But there are a lot of tier 2, tier 3 cities which are growing, and we have a lot of skilled manpower there, employee base there. Maybe they may not want to come to office all the way to some city to just work for a few days, or for some training, or for some meetings, or so on. In that case, I think it would be a good idea to evaluate this option of offices in different places. Maybe it needs more working on looking at our manpower, where it's located, where more people are located, and identifying some of the hotspots where we need some space for employees to provide an office scenario where they can come and work, maybe for a few days in a week, or a few days in a month. We don't know. But I think this will be a very serious thought in maybe the next 6 months to 1 year, depending on how things go. It will definitely come up for discussion and a serious evaluation.
Excellent. Thank you, Guru Prakash. Narayanan, so will occupiers be able to emphasize on employee well-being and sustainability by fast-tracking the adoption of some of these flex workplace solutions?
So it's a good question. So I want to add, in addition to sustainability and well-being, growth as well as an aspect. Guru Prakash had already touched on a few of these topics, right? So let's look at what has happened in the last 1 year. So one is, of course, people are more comfortable working from home. The second is, when the lockdown kind of opened up, say in July timeframes, and they knew that we are going to open up offices, they all moved back to their respective hometowns, which could be anywhere practically in India. And over a period of 9 months, then you start saying, you know what, I'm actually quite happy being where I am, because people moved all over India in the last 10, 15 years to grab jobs that were interesting, exciting, well-paying, etc. Now they're like, same job, same pay, but I'm back in my hometown and I'm actually quite comfortable here. And so that is one aspect. The second aspect, large cities like Bangalore and Mumbai, where we've got a lot of employees based, commute times can be anywhere between 30 minutes to 2 hours each way, right? And Mumbai, of course, is notorious for that, right? Now, same employees are more than happy saying, you save me 3 hours in a day just because I don't commute, so I might as well do more or spend the time working rather than trying to struggle to get to office and back. This is another thing that's going on. So considering this, the third being the growth aspect of it. The growth aspect now, again, existing employees want to move from, we've got 6 locations, want to move from our base to back to their native place, wherever it is, sometimes large cities, very small cities sometimes. But ideally, the way flex space is, the way we see it right now, can we have multiple offices within the same city so employees can go to their office? So it should be like a work near home situation, right? So you could get to the closest flex operator space, right? So you're still engaged very well. The second being, we're looking at a lot of tier 2 cities where growth can happen and where we already have, we've been tracking kind of where our employees are, which are not in our major cities, where have they come from and stuff like that. And where there is potential growth, we're looking at several tier 2 cities as options to grow. Ahmedabad, Kochi, Coimbatore, Trivandrum, Nagpur, Indore, etc. Right? All these are the next set of growing cities. So, where we don't want to go and invest in a, conventional office space, take it up, build it out, and then wait for growth to happen, right? Whenever that happens. So that is no longer something that we wish to, kind of embark on. So there, the flex office spaces and operators like yourselves will definitely help, because that would be where we will go. We could start with something small and then grow as the business grows there. Right? And we don't have to actually manage so many offices by ourselves. In today's world, conventional spaces, we actually have our facilities, administration, all that happening in those locations. We may not need to do that anymore, right? That's completely taken care. But you guys, again, Abhishek and Guru Prakash mentioned a lot of those. But I think this is where we are headed. Now, it also depends on our current leases and lock-ins and all that stuff. But this is probably a model that is very interesting right now, given the current situation, employee behavior, and overall industry, how it's responding. I think this is a way we might go.
That's great, Narayana. I think very good points on sort of the tier 2 expansion. And it's interesting that earlier it used to be that the talent followed the space. Now space is following the talent. So
Absolutely,
that's a
absolutely.
very interesting shift that's taken place. So
again,
Saurabh,
a worker-centric model where
right.
we are going to go where we can find talent, and then make sure that employees are comfortable enough to come to those office locations and want to come to work. Right, that's something we're trying to do.
That's a great point. So Saurabh, is it possible that partnerships with flexible work operators will become the norm as enterprises look to restructure their office portfolios?
I think certainly we would be, that going to be a very a paradigm shift. I've seen that in last 2 to 3 years, because I was working with, many BFI sectors where, initially there is always a hesitation to pick and choose for a flexible workplace operators to set up their infrastructure in the cities because they are in no particular space. Then there are certain guidelines from IRDA or RBI which need to be met. But and that point of time, the workspace operators are not ready with those kind of requirement or statutory or compliant requirements. But what I've seen is that now from last you can say couple of years, that there is a flexibility, a variety to pick and choose as per your workspace requirement, whether you need an open space or you need an enclosure. So you can get those kind of services very easily now with you guys or with other workspace operators as well. The major suggestion in terms of workspace operator, because I'm working on the expansion plan and increasing the network footprints, that now you need to focus on tier 2, tier 3 cities as well, not to invest too much on the infra, but your presence is required. Because while we are discussing in or coming into this discussion panel, we are discussing that only, that there is a makeshift plan where business are coming from these cities. So if you build certain infrastructure in those cities, that will help really to grow faster on those things. And I feel and I believe that and foresee that there is a lot of potential in these cities as far as the BFSI sector is concerned. So that is my point of view.
That's great, Saurabh. I think I'll sleep well this evening, because I am assuming that future looks very bright. And clearly we are expanding in tier 2 cities. But over to you, Sumit, for Q&A, because I know there are quite a few audience questions that have come as well.
Right. Gentlemen, it has been a very, very insightful session. Great points which came emerged around. There are few questions. A lot of them points have been covered, but I will still put out for you. My first question, Abhishek, probably you can answer, is what metrics should companies track and ensure alignment to business outcomes? So I think it's more in the context of work from home. So what are the metrics which the companies should track?
A clear answer obviously is utilization, right? No brainer. I'm not saying anything really smart here, but it's important for me to track utilization, which is the business metric of the entire organization. It's also important for us to track, mental fatigue, because to me, there is no metric that defines how much of a pain a person is going through today, and whether that determines his ability to do more. What we are lacking is, in fact, what we are wanting is people to do more than the 8 hours that they put in. right? Well-defined and well matured organization have their structures in place, right? Like I said, in a startup DNA, you can't expect everybody to just be doing their, uh, regular jobs. We all need to stretch a little bit more. And what are the metrics for that? It's definitely extra output of what the person is able to give. So I wouldn't say I have a great answer for your question right now, but um, beyond the utilization, I would say how much is he engaged with the vision and mission of the organization, right? How much he or she is willing to do more? Is he or she empathetic enough with what the company is trying to do for them? So we all say, what are the employers doing for the employees, right? When will a question be asked? When will the employees start thinking about what we are going through for you, right? Will they start doing more for us, thinking that we are chasing them all the way around? So round and round answers, but I think we need to track how aligned they are with the company vision. That is very important. Yeah, for a company of our size and scale and maturity stage, the metric that I would chase is how aligned are you with the business vision and mission.
Got it. Great. Now I'll ask a question for everyone. Just answer in a single word. There's a very interesting question. I'll just put it with a twist. Is the future multiple decentralized? Is the future multiple decentralized offices, or a network of pay-as-you-use offices, or something else? So Abhishek, over to you. Just a single
I would
word.
say the second one. I would say the second one. Pay-as-you-use offices.
Pay-as-you-use.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Saurabh?
Yeah, industry to industry. My domain says that it should be decentralized or is a combination of both the models. It depends depending on the business needs actually.
Got it. Narayanan?
Yeah, I would agree with Saurabh. Right now, I don't think either one way is the way to go. We might pick one, by next year, but for now, it's got to be A and B. That's what I would say.
Right. Guru Prakash?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mix of both. Even I think so too. It's very speculative at this point of time. Very difficult to say. Maybe some clarity will happen 6 months down the line, a year down the line. But
Right.
definitely hybrid.
Got it. So perfect. Thank you. The next question is, what would be the role of technology in the future of work? Narayanan or Guru Prakash, do you want to address this one?
I think everywhere, right? Like what I was talking about earlier, right from recruiting to onboarding to managing, everything is now digital, and technology has played a big role, right? Our systems team had to, overnight make systems available for all this to happen, right? We never did onboarding digitally. We never did recruiting digitally. We never collaborated digitally to even work together. Right now, like Zoom, Teams, whatever those tools are, we're doing that. I think it's going to continue. I think all that is going to continue. And a lot of technology has been implemented even by flexible office spaces. I've seen the apps, how they manage, track employees, which location you're in, how you utilize your spaces. It is going to happen. Technology is going to is part of the growth and part of the transformation that's going to happen.
Great, thanks. Guru Prakash, there is a very specific question. I don't know if you can choose to answer, not answer. So it says Infosys has 50 million square feet office. What will you do with the surplus space if the hybrid style is going to be in vogue, especially as your financial results are better with the present work from home style?
Hi, Sumita. Sorry to interrupt. I have another meeting lined up. Can I move ahead, please? Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Saurabh.
Thanks all.
Take care.
Okay. Bye. Take care. Okay. Bye.
So yeah, whoever asked, it's a very interesting question, but that's the question even we do have. So honestly, at this point of time, we are thinking maybe we can partner with Amit and his team to have flex offices in some of our campuses. But even with the pandemic and with this current situation, there is a net addition of nearly 20,000 employees at Infosys this year. Okay, so which means IT sector is still growing at a reasonable pace. Okay, this being the case, every year we used to build about 500,000, 1 million. At peak, it was about 2 million square foot. Okay. About 8 years ago, 9 years ago, we used to build 2 million square foot every year. So that, of course, will not happen in at least the coming few years for sure. And the current space should be able to cater to the increasing demand because of this hybrid working scenario, right? So we might allocate only if there is a 100 people team that is wanting to use a particular office space, they will be given an office which has about 70 seats or 60 seats, something like that. We'll have to work out a model, but this is where we are heading towards. Okay, we will not be providing for 100% of the employees. The 100% of the employees at any point of time will not be in our offices. Even our ESG goal for 2030 says we are going to enable 30% at any point of time, 30% of our employees to be working from home, which means we are anyway not planning for 100% of the space. So this current space probably will be used for the increasing demand as well. So we don't have to build for the next few years, maybe with this kind of a situation. And then, of course, we can look at other options of how to monetize the existing space that we have and make it productive.
Great, thank you. So that's it from my side for the Q&A session. Great insights, gentlemen. Over to you, Amit.
Sure. So, gentlemen, it's been a fantastic 60 minutes with each of you. I personally have learned a lot and hope the participants have as well. Thank you for all the participants to make this a success and our panel for their candid views. Being an eternal optimist, I firmly believe that we as a nation will overcome the current challenge and develop workspace models that are humane, flexible, and ready to support the new work style of modern India for 2021 and beyond. With that, stay safe and stay happy. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit.
Thanks, Amit, everybody.
Good luck,
Stay safe.
everyone.
Take care. Take care.
Bye.